The next text structure, compare and contrast. The text tells how things are alike and how they are different. So when we compare and contrast, we need to ask ourselves, is this piece of writing telling me how things are alike and how they're different? When we compare, the word compare means how they are alike. The word contrast says how they're different. And the graphic organizer you see in front of you is a Venn diagram. And on the outside is how they are different. That's where you contrast them. And how you compare them and how they are alike is when the two circles are joined together. That is how we show compare and contrast in a graphic organizer using a Venn diagram. So here's an example of a text structure that we could use about soccer and football. Soccer and football are alike in a few ways, but have many differences. One similarity is that they are 11 players on the field at one time in both soccer and football. They are both popular sports in the United States, and they both require the use of a ball and a field. So that just shows us how they are the same. We were able to compare them. Now let's contrast it using the word the differences. The differences between soccer and football are numerous. Soccer players use a ball shaped like a sphere, whereas the football players use a ball that has two ends. In soccer, players are trying to send the ball into the goal. However, in football, players are trying to get the ball in the end zone or through goal posts. The rules are also different. In soccer, players are rarely allowed to touch the ball with their hands, while football players frequently touch the ball. Football players are allowed to tackle, but this is forbidden in soccer. These are just a few ways that soccer and football are different. Nonetheless, most people agree that both soccer and football are fun sports. Now, what makes that piece have a compare and contrast structure? We could use a Venn diagram to show you. Soccer and football. One is soccer and the other is football circle, but they're both joined. On the on the sides that are under soccer, and those are how we're contrasting them, how they are different. What's in the middle is how we compare them and how they are the same. So they are both sports. The ball is both kicked in both sports, and they both have 11 players on the field. What makes them different? We're going to contrast them now. They both have a ball, but one is a sphere-shaped ball, and the other ball has two endpoints. They both have one has a goal, and the other one has an end zone. In soccer, they rarely touch the ball with their hands, but in football, they frequently touch the hand with their hands. And tackling is forbidden in soccer, whereas football, tackling is allowed. So comparing and contrasting, there are many different types of fruit. Apples and oranges are two of the most common fruits that people eat. Both of these fruits grow in trees. They are similar because they are juicy. Apples, however, have a smooth, shiny skin, and oranges have a rough, bumpy skin. One obvious difference is that apples can be red, green, or yellow, and oranges are orange. So, we were able to create a Venn diagram comparing and contrasting our apples and oranges. We contrasted the apples because apples are red, they have a stem, and they're smooth skin. And oranges are orange, they have no stem, and they have rough skin. But how are they both similar? How can we compare them? They're both fruit. They both grow on trees, and they're both juicy. Some very important key words when we're comparing and contrasting are the words alike, similar, same, different, unlike, contrast, however, while. So compare is showing how they're similar, contrasting, and what are the differences. Things that we need to remember are similar to, alike, the same as, both, whereas in contrast, they're different, unlike. On the other hand, compare and contrast. Two things alike, pieces the same, but observe the differences apart from the names. Looking for overlap, they are to compare. Finding similarities, the two objects share. Looking for differences, that is to contrast. Ways they are different can sometimes be vast. Be observer, a note taker of facts, or compare and contrast, you'll be on the right track. So things that we could use when we are comparing and contrasting, when we want to report it or want to write it or find it, we're going to find the word both. The two are alike because, the two are different because, in comparison. But how we use them for contrasting would be one differences, on the other hand, in contrast. So those are things that we could use that are helpful. So we would use a Venn diagram or comparison chart for graphic organizers. But compare and contrast, they help the reader understand the differences between two similar items. It helps the reader learn a new idea by comparing it to a familiar one. It shows something how in the past is different than something in the present. So again, we're going to use a lot of key words and phrases to help us understand comparison and contrasting words, those clue words.
So how did Einstein train his mind? Well, one text structure technique that expert thinkers like Einstein use is comparison. Let's see this in action. Imagine reading about US presidents in a textbook. Some people will try to store all the words and ideas they read in a long list. This is inefficient and it's not an effective way to organize and remember information. When expert thinkers see linking words like in contrast, compared to, similar to, but, whereas, and different, they know that someone or something is being compared. Even if there are no linking words, you can use the comparison to remember twice as much from using the text structure. When you use the comparison text structure to read and learn, you start organizing your memory structure like a tree. In the tree, you see that the comparison is the top node. Then you see who or what was being compared. Then you see all the information for both items being compared. Note that this allows the information to be strategically organized, carefully associated, and chunked to make it efficient to recall when needed. This allows you to monitor and check your understanding. I can go from node to node and check my understanding and think, do I have all the information I read about Lincoln? I can walk through my tree to find out what I missed. So, do you want to become a master learner? There are 5 text structures that are useful in organizing almost all information you read. We just learned about comparison.